then it becomes the idea like your number one priority isn't to be a parent that other parents think is doing a good job. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like that's not the number one priority. Like, hopefully there's some parents that maybe think that along the way, but
Well,
that's
I
not
think
the top
that
decision maker.
what's funny is we talk about peer pressure with kids in middle school and high school, and they if you, I we never talk about the peer pressure of parents on parents. And honestly, that's what's driving most of the stuff we see right now going on. That's hurting kids to some degree as research and stuff is coming out. And it's not. It all has to do with the pressure that parents are feeling, and that's a real pressure, and it's hard. It really is. It's a real challenge.
Yeah, I have some friends, and they were sharing with me one of the most unexpected things of being a parent was feeling as though when they shared their parenting decisions that they would be essentially
Shamed.
judged by
Yeah,
and
shame.
shamed, yeah, by other parents who had just made different decisions. And sometimes they're just different preferences, you know? And I think that this is maybe a tiny little baby side note, but if you're a parent, maybe consider your how you interact with other parents when they share what decisions they've made. But
Yeah, one of the things, John, I think is really tough as parents to do, and I touched on it just briefly in the message, and I could have done a whole another week on this or 2 weeks on this, is we talk about all these things that we're seeing in this generation right now that are just really, really challenging as far as mental health and suicide, all this stuff, okay? And we just see them detach more and all that. And yet we don't hit the pause button and go, what's causing that? And little do we know, many of the very common trends that have become normal in parenting are driving those very things. And so to be able to take a look at that as a parent and have the courage to go, hey, wait a minute, we're being judged for doing things that are actually facilitating things that are hurting our kids. That's a real challenge. And most parents, they don't do that because of the peer pressure.
what's the discovery process for that look like? Is that reading a book? Is that talking to trusted parents? Is that asking hard questions? What does that look like?
Well, man, there's a lot of stuff coming out now in things. In fact, I just was reading a book. It's called The Anxious Generation by John Haidt, Haidt, The Anxious Generation. Bunch of research is just coming out now, just regarding the activity level, technology stuff, and all that, and how that's impacting the mental health stuff of kids. And just the research is unbelievable.
Mm.
And there's a lot of other stuff that is just coming out. I was talking to a counselor just about what was going on, and he was talking about how now they have a bunch of research out on just the technology use in with kids. They can actually see now their brains are physically shrinking due to it.
Wow.
And so there's all this now because now we have time under our belt now where they
Yeah.
can the trends and all that. And but no one stops and goes, what are some of the things? Now, it's not the only thing, but what are some of these things that are driving these statistics to rise? And
Yeah.
as a parent, we got to stop and hit the pause button and go, what is that? Because I'm not just going to be an exception necessarily.
Mm.
It's just a hard thing to do. But as a parent, I think that's part of our calling now. And as we parent in this really, really tough times.